Well, hello there, Anxious Cynic back again. After a long hiatus of not uploading anything, I figured I'd finally put something up and talk about this thing that I recently became aware of. So I have this other channel called Box Spring Animations. I made it several years ago as a way to put up Minecraft animation type content that was more trendy. It was more of an experiment to see if I could make things that would get views along the trendy side of Minecraft animation on YouTube. And interestingly enough, it worked. I made a wolf life animation because that seemed to be something I felt like I could contribute to. And I ended up making a video, it was a compilation of the first 4 episodes of that series. And that video hit the algorithm just right, I guess, and accumulated about 10 million views as of the last time it could get views. So that was my most viewed video I've ever made, and I was pretty, not necessarily proud of it, but it was a nice milestone. It was nice to have something to look back and be like, wow, that video really took off. It kind of shows that if you do the right thing at the right time, this whole YouTube thing can kind of work a little bit. So anyway, since then the popularity of that video has dropped off. It hasn't really been getting any views. The algorithm kind of settled down on it, and every subsequent video I made trying to capitalize on the success of that video, it didn't really work that best. So it didn't really catch on. I've had some videos that have gotten, 1 million, 2 million views or something like that since then, hundreds of thousands of views. Not bad by any stretch, but when it comes to making money on YouTube, when it comes to doing so with animation, then not having that kind of level of success repeatedly becomes more difficult to sustain because it takes so long to produce an animation. You can't really make decent money if they're all not kind of picking up. And you also need subscriber support, and for the type of videos I was making, I'm not sure why. I really couldn't tell you why that video did so well and the succeeding episodes didn't. But in any case, there's no subscriber support really, not enough to, I guess, boost it in the algorithm again. Anyway, the point is, even though it didn't really make the channel extremely successful, it was a nice little milestone to look back on. In any case, I recently became aware that YouTube has decided to remove that video because it violates the child safety policy, I believe is what it's called. And I tried to appeal it, and very rapidly they replied that it was denied. And basically, I don't have it up in front of me right now, but the recollection that I have is that it violated their child safety policy for children, content that's obviously aimed at children and or family content, something like that. Something about including shocking or adult horror elements into content that's obviously aimed at children. And so I guess that makes it irredeemable. There was no leeway in hearing my side of the story or anything like that. It was just their assessment and they removed it. No questions asked, no appeal to be made beyond the little automated appeal thing. I couldn't explain why I disagreed or anything like that. And it's YouTube's rules, it's their platform, they can do what they want. And I did know that the wolf life trend was definitely kind of aimed towards children, but I have a hard time making content that's strictly within trends. I'm not very good at following trends or any of that stuff. I always kind of want to go my own way and do my own thing. So my intention when I made those animations was to make something within the trend that was something I could be interested in making and a story that I wanted to tell. I was aware of the type of content that it was and the type of audience it might attract, so I was leaning in that direction with it. I didn't really show anything too terrible. Maybe I'll put up a couple of clips here as I'm talking to show maybe some of the violent scenes that they disagreed with. Personally, maybe it's a generational issue or something, but when I was growing up, children's content, family content, I don't think this was any worse than anything I saw in that kind of content growing up. Maybe things are different now, or maybe I'm just not judging it properly. In any case, YouTube has their criteria and they're sticking to it, and so the video is removed. Again, it wasn't really performing well anyway. It's fortunate, really, that it wasn't, and that the channel itself didn't really capitalize on that content well in terms of views and making money, because if it was and this happened, I'd be pretty upset. As it is, it kind of doesn't really matter. It's just kind of frustrating that you can go into something having an intention of what you're trying to do, and if YouTube disagrees, then they're not going to give you any options. You can appeal, they'll deny, and then you're just cooked. So it is what it is. So I'm not making this video to whine or complain. I just figured I'd address it and maybe use it as a jumping off point to discuss where I've been, what I'm up to, what I'm intending to do with this channel and whatnot. And as you know, as I said in the beginning, it's been a while since I've uploaded. I've kind of just been on a hiatus, just lacking creativity, motivation, things like that. But I have recently kind of gotten the itch back wanting to make videos, and I haven't really just been able to figure out what the hell it is I want to make. I've kind of keep going back and forth of what types of content I want to try to make and what I feel good about making, things like that. And I was recently kind of getting the itch enough. I was like, yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll make some animations again or something. Like maybe I'll do something if I can just muster the motivation, which every time I open like my Animator or Blender, I just get completely demotivated. So that's its own issue. But anyway, the reason I bring this up is because, like I said, I was sort of considering trying to make more animations and stuff, and I totally could. Most of my content that I've made is fine. But the thing that gives me pause about it is, like, first of all, I've already been considering moving away from Minecraft animation, wanting to do something different. Original, preferably, but at least something different. And just for lack of being able to figure out what to do, I was considering just going back to try and make Minecraft animations. So with this happening, it kind of gives me that extra little push, like, okay, maybe it's time to just move away from Minecraft animation content. Maybe that's just not the place to be, and it's too risky even. Again, maybe I'm being a bit doom and gloom, maybe I'm catastrophizing the scenario, but it is a problem when you upload a video and it performs well, and 5-6 years later, YouTube either comes across it or their policy changes, something happens where they find the content and determine it's against their rules, even though it has been up for years. And imagine if you had a video that was up for years, it's been fine all that time, and it was like your main money maker on your channel. It's like the catalyst video that helped grow your channel and blow it up. And hopefully, you know, 5 years later, you're not relying on that video to do that anymore. But if that was the content that boosted you, then chances are you're continuing to make similar types of content. And then years later, YouTube can come along and be like, oh wow, this doesn't suit our policy, either at the time that it was uploaded or just now we've changed it. And so goodbye to that content. And again, this is me wanting to move away from it anyway, so if you're starting out and you're wanting to do Minecraft animations, I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but it's just something to consider. If you're going to make something that's presumably aimed at children, or is considered to be aimed at children, even if you kind of want to do your own thing with it, make your own, have your own take on the subject, if you don't fall within YouTube's view of what that content should be, then you're kind of taking a bit of a risk. And so for me, especially when it comes to animation, animation just takes too much time. It's too tedious, it's too much work to risk going through all that time and effort to put something up and then it be construed as a certain type of content that then will have to be removed. And again, I'm not saying that YouTube is necessarily wrong. I know that Wolf Life is aimed primarily towards kids and things like that, but I was under the impression that maybe you can find a niche, a trend, and do your own thing with it, and it could kind of stand on its own. And again, maybe that's not what's happening. Maybe they don't really see it as, okay, well, this is like a trend that is aimed at children and this doesn't fit within the trend. Maybe I'm just kind of framing it that way. But to me, that's how I viewed it. And there's no way for me to make a case for that. So it's just, the bottom line is, if you make something and YouTube has a view of it, doesn't matter where you're coming from with it, they're going to judge it based on that. And maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is, you've put your time and energy and effort into making something that you have no control over. So all that's to say, I do want to make content. Like I said, I've gotten the itch back. I want to do something, and I've just been struggling with what to do. And at this point, mainly because I've already wanted to move away from it, but also now because I feel like it's not worth it. It's not worth working so hard on something. Even for me, like, I don't make the best animations. I'm not really that much of a perfectionist with making my animations look really good. I don't really go out of my way to try and produce really quality animations, but even then, it's still a lot of time and a lot of work. So unless maybe I come up with something that's just like a really cheesy style that are like some of the ones I've attempted to play with in the past, that's really easy to make and whatnot, I don't know if I would want to devote time to making Minecraft animations at this point. Again, most of that's just because my own preferences have changed at this point, but also, like I said, because of this stuff. So I don't know what that means. Like some people probably would want me to keep making tutorials. I feel like that well is beyond dried up. I set out to make tutorials for beginners to learn how to use the software. I'm not really a super duper animator. I'm not going to go learn all the ins and outs of animation and how to do everything in the most amazing way. So my objective of having good beginner-friendly tutorials to show how to use a piece of software that someone can then grow on their own from is kind of done. Like, the objective has been accomplished in my opinion, and I just don't know if there's much else to do there. I'm not saying I would never do it or that I won't be doing it at all, but chances are pretty good that I won't be doing it because I just don't know if there's really anything else to cover at this point. And I'm not really sure that animation in itself is something that I'm really super into. I really enjoy filmmaking and telling stories and things like that, but animation is its own beast, and it doesn't really scratch the itch for me. There's a lot that goes into animation that I'm just not that interested in as a filmmaker or a storyteller, so I've been trying to figure out what it is I can do that really kind of does it for me, and I'm still trying to figure that out. I hope to be able to upload more content in the near future, and maybe more regularly, but I just gotta figure out what the hell it's gonna be. So that's pretty much it. I think maybe I covered everything I wanted to talk about in this. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put this up as a little, hey, this happened kind of thing, and then maybe use that as a jumping off point to explain where I am, where I've been, what I'm up to, what I'm trying to do. And so hopefully I gave the full story there, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys soon in the near future.